Good morning, fellow humans. Steve. Um, Here. What other word is there? Maybe a couple of the words I could use. So, I have set up a healing field, and it seems like for the near future, there may be healing fields set up every day specifically for an event for us to go back to. So, you can just, you know, connect with this healing field of today and notice where you go back to. Notice the energies. I was aware this morning when I woke up that there was kind of a heavy feeling to the energetics, and my wife expressed a similar experience, and I felt a little bit of connection to the energies, like, oh, and I thought, no, I need to both not push them away, even though I choose to live in a world with more spaciousness, because in a world of more spaciousness, there's a lot more space for creativity and for changing and releasing. So when we feel all compressed in by energy, we have a tendency of feeling like, oh, I can't do anything about this. And so when we just kind of open ourselves up, we can either open ourselves up by kind of pushing those energies away, or we can open ourselves up to where we encompass those energies. And then we don't feel like pushed by them. We just feel like we're just including them in our awareness. So that's was kind of the message to me today was, no, don't push these energies away. Then you're battling them. Then your energy is going towards trying to stop what you're feeling. But rather than do that, expand your state so it encompasses what you're feeling. And then you won't feel embattled. So that's what I did. And so far, so good. It's kind of, in some ways, a new experience, but in some ways, it's a new, old experience. It's just another way of perceiving the world. But it takes me more out of battle with the world. So I'm not so much battling the energies outside of me, trying to maintain my own perspective by holding other perspectives out. But it's like more about letting other perspectives in and not feeling like I need to be in a state of polarity with those other perspectives. I can just recognize them as other perspectives. We can do that with our own perspective. This is another level. So it's one thing to look at the perspective of an other, a person who is not seen as us. I think that's what the word other means, is not us. And I tend to think a lot about mycelium. And so mycelium is the basic organism from which mushrooms arise. And the mushroom arises at the surface, but you don't see the organism underneath the surface. The organism underneath the surface is putting up a mushroom, a child of the organism, to spread the wealth of the organism to the world. This may be a good metaphor for the consciousness that we're moving into. I say this because there's a really interesting character who I like very much. I don't know him personally. I only know him through his writings and the writings of his father. His father is Rupert Sheldrake, and his name is Merlin Sheldrake. And Merlin Sheldrake has a doctorate in mycology. So mycology is basically, I believe, the study of mushrooms, mycelia. So ology is study of myc, uh, might just be, yeah, mycorrhizal, it could be mycelium, study of, and so I think it's the study of mushrooms. Didn't look it up ahead of time. I didn't know I was going to be talking about Merlin Sheldrake. But he wrote a book, um, uh, and I think it might be called, you'll be able to find it, but I think it might be called Entangled Life, which is about his doctoral study of mycelium and his just investigation of the organism. And I haven't finished this book, so I have to admit, I've had it at least 2 years. And I read it from time to time. And it's lovely and mildly dense. But it's about when we begin to recognize our interrelationship as opposed to our feeling polarized to others and feel like it's them or us, that mentality. Whereas, mushrooms are just connectors. They just connect everything. They support the trees. They tend to hold moisture, and when other the plant world around them is suffering because of a lack of moisture, they tend to give moisture to the roots. They tend to connect to the roots of the other trees. So it's a wonderful metaphor in my consciousness. And also the fact that one of my other favorite people, so Marilyn is definitely one of my favorite people, and one of my other favorite people is Thomas Hubel, who wrote the book Attuned. And he wrote another book. I can't remember the name of that, but it has to do with trauma work in the collective. So it has to do with the people who have studied trauma and the value of the release of trauma working in a larger field, such as what I've been doing. I didn't kind of have a context for what I've been doing, but what I've been doing is, for the last 4.5 years, holding a world healing field to help release and integrate the traumas of the past and ground the energies into the earth so those energies can be used. So it's kind of like composting, recycling. We're just cycling those energies that were trapped in trauma, and we're opening up those energies, bringing them into the earth. Then the earth uses those energies and brings them back to us. It's a wonderful thing from my experience, and I've been doing this type of work on an individual basis, more consciously since around 2013, but before that as well, but more individually since 2013, more and more collectively, to the point that in 2020 I began doing it kind of for the world. It was always for the world, but I began to be more conscious of, okay, we're holding a big space of disturbed energy and grounding it and releasing it and grounding it and releasing it. And 4.5 years later, we're still grounding it and releasing it. But in this healing field that we're all working with right now, if you're watching the video and you've decided to work with this healing field, so you may be feeling some of the energies that you're helping to release and integrate and ground from an event that we went back to in the past. The past exists, but we went through the portal of time to an event. But if all time is now, then that event's happening now, and we're releasing the energy of the event now. So we're going to probably be doing this every day. That's kind of like what I'm beginning to see, like I'm being asked to set up another field, work with some more energy, make people more conscious. That's what we're doing. So those of you who are participating by watching this and maybe working with the energies, you might feel some of those energies and some of what's going on. So in feeling the feelings of today, one of the first things I did was I did a tarot card reading, and I used the Celtic cross as a means of just kind of direction, what's happening in the kind of mental realm, what's happening in the heart realm, what's happening in our, what are we clearing in our perception of reality, what are we working with kind of at the core of things. And I actually wrote a post about that, and I'm just going to suggest that you just read that post because it's very synchronistic. It's very much connected. So I did this tarot reading, so I'm just going to suggest you just read the post. It's not that long, maybe it'll take you 3 to 5 minutes to read it, maybe not even that long. But to digest it might take longer. But I wrote this post, so it has to do with this tarot reading. It has to do with the Mayan calendar kin of today. And it also has to do with the song that I wrote the lyrics out this morning because they were just in my consciousness, and I just kept listening to them. And so I ended up listening to the song and then writing down the lyrics of it and actually singing it out loud because it was producing some really good feelings. The words and the sounds and singing them were producing good feelings. I don't have a video of that, and I don't think I'm going to, but you never know. You never know. I never know what I'm going to do. I never know what I'm going to be asked to do. But I did actually, in the comment of the post prior to the one I did today, so the one I did yesterday, in the comments I linked the song so you can listen to the song if you want to. It's done by a really lovely group of young 30-somethings, really lovely consciousness, and they're bringing back all these songs from the past that were made in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and they're bringing them forward, and they're going primarily for very conscious songs and then playing them and singing them really well. They're amazing people. I just give a shout out to Josh Turner. He's an amazing human being, and he's changing the world in a very positive way, and quite humbly, I would say. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you too much about the tarot cards. I'm not going to tell you too much about, other than this is a white planetary wind day, and it's interesting. The planetary, the lunar tone planetary is lunar tone number 10, and the planetary tone is about being a conduit for the higher realm being expressed through you. So that's the planetary tone, bringing things into creation through our intention and our connection with the higher realm. So allowing the emergence of a new reality based on our holding a connection with the higher realm, a connection with that reality, and then bringing kind of that reality into existence, manifesting it through ourselves. The post is not that long, and it talks about all of this stuff. So if you want more details about all of it, you can just read it. But it's a white planetary wind day. And in the white wind portion of it, the planetary is the lunar portion of it. The white wind is the solar kin, the 20 solar kin, and white wind is also about how spirit, wind, breath cannot be seen as they are, but only as they move things. So today was a day of kind of feeling earlier of stillness. And then I thought it's interesting that it's a white wind day when it's so still and so held. So as we just open things up for our own consciousness, as we include whatever's out there and just don't do battle with it, just see it as part of the world we're living in and accept it. We don't have to accept. We can, if we want, accept it all. You could say, but I can't accept war. You know, okay. So you're not going to be able to accept war. I would point out that there's not been a time, from my understanding of the planet, where there's not been war. So if you can't accept it, you're going to be fighting it continuously, and all of that energy of your creation is going into war. And what does that do? Possibly create more war. So when you accept that the reality, possible reality, is not necessarily occurring in my immediate, well, there is a little bit of warring going on in the neighborhood, so just accept it. Accept it and hold the space for it. Accept it and hold the space for everything that's going on, and hold and accept the space for change. Because all healing is about change, and if we don't hold the space for change, then change may not happen for us. And when change happens for us, it does change our perception of the world. I think that's everything. So really, if you don't read the post or even know how to read the post, so if you click on my rock, it'll take you to my YouTube site, and you'll see community, and if you click on it'll say videos, something community. You click on community, it'll take you to posts. You click on posts, and then you'll see the post for today, which has to do with the tarot cards, Mayan calendar reading, and a song that I transcribed, which I felt was a good song. Okay, so that's all that. So really, you can just do the work of, if you want to, of assisting with the healing of the world by just feeling the energies, let them move, like it's a white planetary wind day. So think of it as the healing winds, the circulation of energy, healing everything through change. So you just notice the changes. And when you're done noticing the changes and you feel complete, for me, the event that we go back to is always off to my right, and through a portal of time off to my right. That's just where it shows up each time for whatever reason. It could show up somewhere different for you, but the energies that we're working with, if you notice that they're off to your right, then you're working with those energies. When it feels like those energies you're complete in working with them, then we can do the last part of the video. And I'm going to make the last part of the video now, because if you pause it and you just do your work, when you start it again, it'll be at the part where I'm doing the last part of the healing session. So you can click off now, or if you're ready for the last part of the healing session, if you feel like, oh, that energy's clear, which I feel on my end, that energy's clear, then we can do the last part of the field. So here's the last. So you click off if you want, you pause now and you do your work, and then you restart it again and connect with this last part of the healing field, the world healing field for today. So I ask the interdimensional being, Thoth and Ra, the deep self, the higher self, and our soul group to assist all the souls that have returned to this event to combine with that part of their soul that had remained at the event, and to bring that combined soul back into their body in present time, for all the souls that are back there, to bring that combined soul back into their body in present time with all of its wisdom, power, and clarity. And I ask all those souls to ground themselves into the healing center of the earth, open up the portal for the delivery of new energies into the earth at this time that we agreed to bring in. And I would ask that the interdimensional being, Thoth and Ra, the deep self, the higher self, and our soul group assist us to bring these new energies in now. And to activate those new energies. And I let the universe and beyond know that this has been done and that is good. And that's the healing, that's the world healing session for today. And not bad, it was 21 minutes, possibly 22 by the time I say, now let's go.